Hello and welcome. You are watching The Times of India. I am Nalin Mehta. Now, the word encounter has a very special meaning in Indian English and it's been underscored once again with the big political slugfest as far as the encounter near Bhopal of 8 alleged terrorists from Simi is concerned. The Congress has now likened this to the Ishran Jahan encounter in Gujarat, which has a huge political pedigree in Gujarat, as we all know. With me here is Sanjeev Singh of the Times of India, who's been tracking this big story coming out of Madhya Pradesh. Sanjeev, if you can, we will decipher what exactly has happened in this encounter and who's at fault or who's not at fault. But first, the politics of this. Why has this become such a big deal politically? If you can just take us through the politics and the different lines taken by different political parties on this to begin with.
See, ever since the report came yesterday, that reports came that the Simi men had escaped. That time there was a lot of pressure on the BJP government, Shivraj Singh Chauhan-led BJP government, that how did they allow this to happen? Because this was not the first time it was happening. 3 out of the 8 people who had escaped from jail had also escaped earlier.
Right.
So, and that's why they were moved to this high security jail this time.
Right.
So, there were questions being asked as to the efficacy of the jail administration.
So the first question is about, before the encounter, if we take a step back, is about the whole security breach of these people actually escaping from a very high security prison.
Yeah. So just when the pressure started getting to them, we got reports by 11:30 yesterday that all 8 had been killed in an encounter. But then again, there was dichotomy in what the government was saying, because the Home Minister said that these 8 Simi under trials. They basically had spoons as knives, and they didn't have any firearms as such, and when they were killed. But an hour later, when the IG came, he said that it was a full-fledged cross-firing that was happening, and that's how they got
Chief,
killed.
let me just show some of the main issue has been around videos which have come up of the encounter, which are actually raising a lot of question marks on the police version. I think the first controversy has come up because there were different versions that came out from the police of Madhya Pradesh itself.
Yeah.
Different police officers gave different versions to begin with, and the Home Minister gave a different version, right?
Yes. So the Home Minister said that they didn't have arms. Then later on, the IG said that when they actually accosted them, they were carrying arms, and there was cross-firing,
right.
Because of which this.
And I think the BJP has clarified thereafter that the different versions came because these officers themselves not in the spot. They were saying what they'd heard, but now they've heard. But let's just show you these videos which are raising. Now, these are not verified videos. Let me say we've not verified them independently. But it is these videos which are creating a lot of confusion and raising a number of question marks on actually what happened in this encounter. So this is a video. This is the first video. There are 3 videos that have come out, right?
Yeah.
This is the first one, which shows these. If I can play it here, this is from YouTube. This shows the audio of police officers on the side who are actually talking about, let's surround these guys on the side. You can see on that mound on top these escapees, these escaped convicts from the jail who are on the hill, and they do not seem to be armed as far as this video is concerned. We don't know, again, let me emphasize, we've not been able to verify these videos independently. But because they're out in the public domain and nobody's challenged them yet, it raises questions which must be answered.
Yeah. In fact,
They seem to be waving their arms over there. This is video number 1. The video number 2 is the second one, which is actually post the encounter, which shows the dead bodies of these convicts lying on this hillock, and it shows the policemen going and recovering arms. Now, look at this. Again, these may be disturbing, so that's a viewer warning which we must put out. Sanjeev, this shows a policeman going and taking out from one of the dead bodies a knife. Now, let me enlarge this. This is a YouTube video. Let me rewind this a little and play it out. It shows this guy taking out a knife from the belt of one of the killed convicts. The thing is that the knife is absolutely brand new and it's wrapped in paper. So, which raises a question mark on whether this was actually and it shows policemen actually shooting at dead bodies in full public view. So these are the kind of videos that are raising question marks and at the center of the raging controversy. Sanjeev, we mentioned that the Congress has said today, you were saying that they've likened it to the Ishrat Jahan encounter. I believe they're setting up a fact-finding team and they're sending a team of lawyers as well.
Yeah, in fact, what we are hearing is that Kapil Sibal, Digvijay Singh and Vivek Tankha, of course, Kapil Sibal and Vivek Tankha are lawyers, and Digvijay Singh, this will be a 3-member team that they're going to constitute, which is going to look into the legal aspects of what are the options available to figure out as to how they will go about with this case. But the fact is that, these sort of videos that have come up have actually, just added more. It's the whole encounter has just become more murky. And what the reports we've got today is the fact that the encounter site today has actually become a tourist spot, and there are no policemen guarding over there, and you can see belongings and clothes of these 8 semi-under trials, their clothes and all belongings still lying over there. So it does point to a lot of shoddiness on behalf of the police force as far as dealing with this case is gone.
I think we should also point out, Sanjeev, in terms of the question marks. First is the original crime of the escape from the Bhopal jail, which is a very high security jail. And I think you had some facts about the number of bed sheets they use, the number of walls they have to cross. And not to be forgotten, one policeman was killed.
Yeah, so the reports that we've got is that they used almost 35 bed sheets to scale the wall. Not just that, they also managed to open their locks. Now, the reports that we are getting is that the locks are interchanged every day. So how did they know which lock is going to be placed? So they must have had a really good network. Then the other thing is that if they actually scaled the wall, how did the bedsheet actually cling onto the wall? Did they have outside support?
What about CCTV cameras? What about watch towers? This is on Diwali night.
Yeah.
No supervision.
So another report says that there was no one guarding the
At
top.
the very least, it's a big security lapse that happened. That's number one. And I believe an NIA inquiry has been ordered into that, and policemen have been suspended for that lapse.
Yeah, policemen have been suspended, but as far as the NIA inquiry goes, though the Congress has been saying that the whole encounter needs to be probed, but the Madhya Pradesh government so far has stayed away from any probe into this encounter per se. But the NIA also will be, the state government wants to give the mandate to the NIA to probe just the jailbreak.
So may I say that officially the BJP's position on this is very clear. They are saying, why are you raising questions about an encounter? These are terrorists. Why do you doubt the word of the government? And the Madhya Pradesh government has said this, the Home Minister has said this, and I believe Kiran Rijiju also, the MOS Home, has also made the same statement today.
In fact, all senior BJP leaders have been saying the same thing. Because, see, the fact is that of all these 8 people, they've been accused of very serious crimes. Some of them involve, bomb blasts at various places. And 3 of them, as I said, had already escaped earlier also. So they are saying that, so what if they got killed in an encounter? A due legal process may not have been followed in that case, but you cannot change the fact that they were actually plotting against the government.
The point of the reason why this is controversial, Sanjeev, is, and why it is at the heart of a big political controversy, is that raising questions about this encounter in no way exonerates these men who were killed from whatever crimes they may have committed. Because though they are under trials, most of them, they are alleged terrorists. Fair enough. I mean, nobody is saying they're innocent of all of that. The question that is being raised because of these videos is about process of law, and at least one of the theory, and I emphasize underlying theory, which may or may not be right or wrong, is that because a guard was killed at the thing, an enraged policeman might have killed them in a staged encounter. That's a theory. We don't know if it's true or not, but doubts have been raised. At the very least, as a democracy, this should be investigated, and facts should come out.
Yeah. Also, another issue that people have been talking about is the fact that if all 8 under trials managed to escape, why were they still together? Because they breached the walls at about 3 a.m. And then, by the time they died, 8 hours had elapsed because the reports of.
And they're all together on one hillock, which is what the video is, what that video says, that unverified video.
And in that video, where you can see 5 people on top, you can hear the policeman saying that there are 5 people here and 3 are trying to escape. And then he adds that a 6th one has also come.
So they're seen waving from there.
Yeah.
We can't make out what they're saying, but at least from that distance on the video, if that video is accurate and not doctored, they don't seem to be carrying weapons from the evidence of what we've seen.
And the locals, whatever little interviews we've seen of the locals coming out, they say that they did see these under trials coming outside from the water. They were perhaps hiding in a bit of swamp sort of thing, and then when they tried to go and talk to them, they said, "Don't come close, otherwise we'll shoot you." And eventually, that's how they informed the police. So there is a lot of conflicting, so-called witness accounts coming from different places. But if that video is true and they were waving, uh, there is this feeling that what was the need to kill all?
So
Maybe they
Sanjeev,
could have.
Sanjeev, so here's the point. Asudin Avesi and the Congress separately
Hmm.
have both made that this is not about the innocence or the guilt of these men. It's about whether this encounter was genuine or not. The This also raises echoes, I think, of the Batla House encounter in Delhi, which was also very controversial. Again, Digvijay Singh had raised doubts about that encounter in the
Yeah,
past from the
yeah.
Congress. He's one of the key people here who's also raising questions, former Chief Minister
Yeah.
of Madhya Pradesh. At the same time, it is making people raise comparisons to the Ishrat Jahan encounter on the other end of the spectrum,
Yeah.
which was also a very controversial case.
Uh, See, basically, even in the past, we've seen that when the Ishrat Jahan encounter case had come up, even that time the BJP's line of defense was that you can probe the encounter. This is not the first time that a fake encounter is taking place in the country, but you cannot change the fact that the people who were gunned down, uh, they actually had some terror links.
Yeah.
So even here, you can see almost the similar line echoing.
Sanjeev, may I take some comments? We are getting some live comments. Devayan Josh Gupta. And let's take 2-3 comments and see
Yeah.
if we can answer these questions. For Muslim friends, what about the police guard killed by the so-called innocent Simi men? Um, Somebody else, Shashank Devadiga says, fake or real? The people who died are not patriots or normal people. They are terrorists. Why should we bother about them? Uh, this is the sort of tone and tenor of most of the comments we are getting. Advait Gode says, so much analysis on an encounter, no analysis on our martyrs. What has the country's media come to? On a counter view, Ehsan Khan says, how many Muslims are in jail on fake charges? I think these 4-5 comments actually sum up the different contours of this debate. On the one side, so what if it is fake or real? These men are terrorists,
Alleged
so
terrorists.
who cares? That's one way of looking, one argument in the public domain. The second argument is, doesn't matter who they were, due process. Third is, why so much focus on these men who were killed? Why not on martyrs? Now, I think this is something that a lot of people have made clear. This has actually got nothing to do with Uri or with the security forces who are dying. Those are totally separate things on what is happening in the LOC and the surgical strikes. This is about internal issue about due process of law being followed.
Exactly, and which is why so much hue and cry is happening. No one is denying the fact that these 8 people had some sort of criminal links and were accused of treason and other very serious and heinous crimes. But in a democracy like India, where we pride ourselves with the fact that we have a very robust system in place, when these things happen, they actually bring sort of disrepute to our own system. So
And may I say that last time I checked the law, there was no law for encounter killings. And the law is very clear. Whether middle class, see, typically I think for the last 15-20 years, encounter killings have had. And whether this was an encounter killing or a fake or real is a different question, has to be decided in a court of law, have had general middle class support. You see a lot of films being made on it. But at the end of the day, we're not Putin's Russia. Another important point, Sanjeev, Mohak Tyagi makes a comment, not at all a matter of Hindu or Muslim. Stop making it such an issue. To all the people who are raising such comments, terrorists kill innocent people, and what happened to them is correct. His first part, I think, is very valid. This is not a Hindu or Muslim issue. This is a question of law and about
policing.
Policing.
Yeah. So see, that's the that's where you run the risk of a lot of things coming together and then people confusing the whole issue. So as long as we keep this issue limited to what it should be, then we can easily say that a due process had to be followed and that was not followed. Fine, they may have been criminals, but the fact is that in a democracy like India, we have robust systems. Why not follow them?
So may I just say that I will not repeat some of the comments we're getting here, which are very personal. People are saying, what happens if your own father was killed and things like that. You won't. I think these kind of comments underscore the sheer the sort of rawness of the emotions that an encounter like this raises, and why this then has huge political fallout, which explains why the BJP and Congress are fighting each other so much. Because terrorism,
it's on both
national
sides.
security,
It's
all at the center of all of this, and it raises very visceral emotions in people, and therefore politically it's a very potent argument either way. At that note, I think we'll have to wait and see, wait for some more facts to come out. Questions have been raised. It's incumbent on the government and the police to answer those questions, and then it's for courts of law to decide. On that note, we'll take a short break. Keep watching the Times of India for live updates.